Okay, anyway, bound angle is our first one. Lunge with your feet together, knees apart, supporting your knees with your block or your blanket, one side or the other. And honestly, if one side, one knee bothers you, it's probably the hip if it's bothered here. But then at this point, it could be damaged, perhaps because of tight hips, but other things too. So if you have to put something under one side, I would put it under both, because if you see, it tilts me, so it's going to tilt you, and you really want to try to stay centered, so put something under both sides. But anyway, forward bend, bound angle, hold the pose. Um, I forget what I was going to say, so it probably wasn't important. And there's other books by Bernie out, so I'll send you this link because they get into the more esoteric aspects. But this one is plenty comprehensive. It talks about the meridians, and because different poses affect different meridians. So you may want to look into that and understand that, and you could just work on a couple poses that might be, you think, relevant for you if you continue to do yin on your own. That's keep holding the pose. Just hold your stretch and just notice as you hold it that wherever it's holding you back, whatever parts of the body, the hips, the back, the legs, whatever part is holding you back, you can feel the stretch in there stronger. You're going to feel it where you're tighter. People always ask me, where should I feel this? There is a general area of what poses are for, but everybody being different, you may feel it someplace else. So notice where you feel it, and notice when it kind of releases a little bit, or notice if you're holding tension because you feel it in a certain area and you're holding tension there. Try to relax that area. And as it releases, see if you can stretch just a tiny bit further until it feels like a strong stretch again. You never have to do that. You never have to move. You can just hold it wherever you're holding it in the beginning. But that's something, an option that you can think of as you hold a yin pose. I have a few other yin books that I wish I could have returned them, but they did have a few good things. One had sun salutations in it. I mean, if anything doesn't go with yin, it's sun salutations. You don't want your muscles to be warm. You want your muscles to be cold, so you reach different areas in yin than you do in hatha stretches. But there were some good. He did have some good stuff in there as well. So I kept the book. Besides, by then I turned down some corners of the pages, which I always do. That's three if you need to come out. And you can see up in the corner I am recording this for posterity. And I don't think it's going to be in the right format for anybody to play, so I will have to take it in. I'll cut off the part in the beginning before the class starts, but I'm not going to do any other editing and no music. So you can play your own music. But these will be available on the cloud. And I've said this in the Zoom email, and I'll say it again when I move them up there, and I send you the link to the folder, which will have all of them. To please download them, because this is a limited space in the cloud, so I'm not going to keep them up there forever. And I'm not going to put them, probably not going to put them on, I don't know. No, probably not on YouTube either, because they limit my space up there as well. And I have some up there that are going to stay up there unless as again I make them available for download. Okay, slowly come out of the pose, legs straight forward, bounce them or turn them side to side. And if I ever have to close my YouTube account, I will notify everybody who has paid for the ability to watch them, and I'll send you a link to download, because I can't send them an email, they're too big. Okay, thread the needle, hands and knees. You might want to have a block or something, one of those little pillows to put your head on, because it's a lot of pressure on your shoulder. So do what works for you. Blankets, hands and knees. I'm gonna do it this way. You're gonna reach your right arm underneath your left, reach it out all the way, and lie down on your right side. The right shoulder, the head. This is where it's a nice idea to have something under your head, back, all the way back, so your shoulder, top of your shoulder is touching whatever your head is on, so you don't curve your neck down either. Stretch your right arm out. My knees always come in too far. The knees should kind of stay under your hips. They may come in a little bit, but don't have them come in too far. And the left arm can just rest down. You can have the left arm reaching toward above your head if you want, but that's pretty strong. You can wrap it around, but then that puts a little bit of extra weight. Or you can just keep it here with the elbows bent, stretching the upper and the mid back to the shoulders. So be careful. Use your props. Adjust so you think you can stay there for a while, and hold the pose. We're going to be doing some different back things. Sort of. One of them's different. But it's going to be more back arching than we generally would do. Some people find that that's, for me, holding back arching poses hurts my back, or can, because I arch into the curve. I make the curve more because of scoliosis. But for some people, it's relieving. It really feels good. So you do what works for you. If it's too strong, just don't push as far. Just come out of it a little bit, or choose something else if you want to do. I'll try to give you enough options, as I always do, so that if it's not a good pose for you, you can find another way to do it or to do something else. But anyhow, this one isn't too bad. As long as you support your head, it really does get to be a lot. And make sure the support comes down and touches the top of your shoulder so your neck isn't curving funny. Wow. And if you don't get the Yin books, if you're doing it but you're not that interested, just remember that any of the regular stretches that we do, you can do in the Yin way. Just do it with your muscles not warmed up. Go into it very carefully, very slowly. Use more props than you might normally use, since you are going to hold it and your muscles are not warm. You don't want to tear your muscles by stretching further than they want to go being cold. It wants to pass the stretch on to the deeper tissues, but you don't want to hurt your muscles. And it should be a kind of stretch where everything else can be relaxed as much as possible, which is why stretching a leg straight up with a strap, that's doable in yin, but again, you're using arm muscles, and your arms will get tired. Your shoulders might get tired. There are other ways to do that, like having your leg straight forward and stretching down over it from a seated position instead. But yin is beneficial. We don't like it. We don't like it while we're doing it. It's uncomfortable, but afterwards, you can feel the difference. It may be a couple hours afterwards. It may be just that night you realize that you were comfortable sleeping. But whatever. It is beneficial. We're past 3 minutes here. Okay, come out of the pose. We are only going to do 4 minutes, not the 5 we were increasing it to. And come back to child's pose or something that makes you feel comfortable in the areas that were being stretched. You can do a child's pose with your arms by your side instead of reaching them forward. Just hold it for a little bit. I was reminded, I posted about how difficult it was to get the kayak back on top of the car after a paddle. It's always easier getting them down. Friends of mine came down from Carthage in kayak with this one of the night paddles, and they couldn't get their kayaks back up on top of their cars. But there were enough of us there, we helped, of course. But he reminded me, and I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, your arms do turn to rubber after, even though you're supposed to use your core, still use your arms. Okay, other side, left arm reaching, hands and knees. Check that your butt isn't moving too far back towards your heels. You may have to move your knees back a little bit after you get into position. Support your head and your neck, so you don't have a lot of pressure and you're not curving your neck, and you don't have a lot of pressure on your shoulder. Do with your right arm whatever. You can reach it toward the floor above your head. You can just reach it for a little bit of time and bring it back. But you need to be careful with shoulders. So don't reach it or wrap it around behind you. And again, you need to be careful with shoulders even doing that. Hold the pose. And Bernie's book, I think, Bernie's book has a lot of different ways to do every pose. He starts you, and he may show the most extreme way, and then gradually a more gentle way. He may start with a more gentle one and gradually increase it. But he has variations in this. He doesn't use blankets and blocks as much as I would like to see. Let me see if this one does. Yeah, there's a block. Yeah, this one uses blocks more, so I assume there's probably some blankets in here. Just remember, if you just remember to put a blanket under your knee. If you're doing a lunge with the straight leg, put a blanket under the straight leg knee. That's just hard on the kneecap. That's just holding it there, and you're lifting up sometimes, so you're putting a lot of weight on that back knee. Just remember to use your blankets and your blocks and your props. Make up ways. If something is like uncomfortable, make up something, a way to make it less uncomfortable. And you can always email me, even after May. Even in June or July, I'd be happy. That would make me happy to know that you're practicing on your own and you're running into things that you want to ask questions about. I'd be happy to answer questions or send pictures of things. I have so much stuff. I can copy a picture in and send you information that way or type stuff out. Bernie Clark, yeah. Oh, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that, Deb. Thank you. That might be. I'm going to send you all a link to this subscription site that has Kundalini Yoga, which is what I looked it up for, but it also appears to have some of Bernie Clark's stuff. So, cool. I do have to join that. I really do. That's 3 minutes. And as I've mentioned before, there's lots of apps on the phone, or you can get one of these timers. There's lots of things, ways to time yourself. If you want to just relax into it, you can make a noise, have the timer make a noise. There's some nice ones, chimes, pretty. Okay, that's 4 minutes. Come out of the pose, child's pose or whatever feels right for you to work it out. Maybe seated and just do some head circles. If you feel too much in your neck, work it out a little bit. Oh, Gaia. Yeah, I had subscribed to Gaia in the past. But do some, I mean, and he has videos too. So do some research. Gaia videos has Bernie Clark, one of the guy that writes the book. I just got a message. Um, they have a lot of stuff up there too. But do some research if you want to continue. It's out there. Okay, this one is one of the back arching ones that we talked about. If you don't have a block, you can use a blanket. Um, but you'd have to you have to fold it this way. The put away fold is usually this, then you fold it over. And you may want to fold it triple this way to make it about the same as a block sideways, or just in half, about the same height. If you have a block, you're going to put it under your sacrum, so just above your buttock muscles, but below the low back. And we've done this in the past with the knees bent. It's like a bridge pose supported with your knees bent. You can do it higher if you want. I wouldn't put it on edge. I wouldn't do it extreme high, but you can do higher like this. If you have a fatter block, mine's a little bit fatter, so it supports my sacrum a little bit better. It's not as hard. If you don't, you can do it flat. The edge of the block, the top edge is below my low back. My low back isn't on it. And then this one is with straight legs. So carefully, if you want, straighten your legs out. That makes it extreme, so pay attention. It also pulls on the hip flexors. So if you want, bend your knees. Try bending them just a little bit. See the difference? That makes a big, for me, I couldn't do it any other way. I'd have to bend my knees. My feet are flat. My knees are a little bit bent, or you can bend them more. Or you cannot do this at all, or just do it on a blanket, just get a little bit of an arch so that you're on a blanket under your sacrum and you're getting a little bit of an arch, not as much. That block is pretty extreme. And I would keep, again, your knees slightly bent. It's just like laying flat. You put a rolled up blanket underneath your knees. But in this case, you're using the blanket elsewhere. So find the one that works. It gives you a good arch, but isn't going to hurt your back. You don't want to come out of this thing. Oh, ow, ow, ow. Not in the back. Not for, no. We talk about it being challenging. Never, it's not comfortable. Yeah, no, most of the time it's not comfortable. But you do not want to do something that's going to, especially joints and back, it's going to hurt. And you're going to feel it. You're going to be sorry you did it. So, I'm timing. Hold the pose. I know this is, sorry. Please modify, bring it down lower if you need to. Have your knees bent as much. And actually, if you do it more like a bridge with your knees bent and your shins straight up and down, perpendicular to the mat, feet on the mat, making your bridge pose is fine. You're still getting some back arching in there. And you're getting other benefits than you would with your legs straight. So Bernie Clark is on Gaia. He wasn't when I was, but then I was watching some really strange shows on Gaia. Unusual, let's just say. Yeah, it's not owned, I don't think, by the same people that sell the merchandise anymore. Gaia kind of branched off the subscription video place, but there's a lot of stuff up there. So, and they've been around for a long time. Gaia. And you can probably find, I know you can find Yin stuff on YouTube. Um, non-prescription, subscription stuff, but I don't know the quality or the experience. I haven't looked at the of the teachers. And Bernie Clark may have a couple there. It's 3 minutes. When you do come out, hug your knees slowly, slowly bend your knees, remove the block, and then slowly bring your knees up to the chest and hug them and rock and massage your back. I'm not there yet if you're holding it for the full 4 minutes. Okay, that is 4. Come out of the pose. Slowly, carefully roll to your side if you need to. And then remember, bring your knees slowly up because that's moving the back in the opposite direction. You don't want to be there quickly. Bring your knees slowly up and hug them and rock. We found a tenant for the studio. It was good to wait. Our real estate guy, we had a couple other applicants, and we were trying to choose the least bad as far as credit and everything goes. And he said, just wait, just wait. And this one just seems pretty good. Okay. Lunge. Right foot forward. Left knee on a blanket, please. Stretch your right leg forward, slide your left leg back. Try to have your heel under your knee with your right leg and come up. You can straighten your arms, have your arms on your thigh. You can straighten your arms. You can have your elbows a little bit bent. Try not to let your shoulders come up. Try to lift your heart. It's going to increase the low back arch. And I moved my right foot out a little bit because I was falling over, so I adjusted. And the right knee can come a little bit forward of the heel because you have the weight on the back leg as well. It's not all on the front leg. But try to have it basically over the heel. Try to keep your shoulders down. Try to lift your heart. Let your back arch feel it. Don't overdo it. Just enough to get an opening of the front of the body and a little bit of a back arching inward. Hold the pose. You can always have your hands on two blocks. And if the back arch gets to be too much, you can put your hands down on either side of your right leg like a regular lunge. You just hold that. The back knee still down. Stay with it if you can, but don't hurt yourself. It's weird not having any music. I hope you're playing some of your own favorite music. I remember in the beginning we didn't have any music, couldn't figure out, didn't know all those secrets. And I haven't heard, I do know where the place is that Angela was telling me about that has the room that we might be able to use for a class now and then it's actually near the DMV on Walnut. Um, and since I know where it is, I should just stop in there physically and see her. I haven't heard yet. And it may not be available anymore, maybe that's why, but you can always find out. That's 3 minutes if you need to come out. Okay, 4 minutes. Come out of it and again, child's pose is a good one. Hug your knees on your back, rock a little bit. And left leg forward lunge, right knee on a blanket or even a little pillow would be okay. Stretch that right leg back. If you can, keep your left heel under your knee if you can, or the knee can go a little bit forward and lift up if you can. And one side's going to feel different. So don't assume. Go up into it slowly, lift up slowly, lift your chest, open your heart. Do everything slowly and see if and where your edge is on this side. It's not going to be the same generally, or it may be, but generally for most of us it'll be different. It may be easier, it may be more challenging. So do what you need to do. Hands on blocks if you need to stay lower. Bending your elbows a little bit more. With the hands that are on the thigh, lifting up. Don't lift your shoulders up. Hold the pose. The tenant has 3 cats and a young son. I'm kind of excited about that with cat people. And the real estate agent did check, of course, to see if that was okay. We did say a couple small animals, but we don't have any furniture in there, so they can't hurt anything, not really. It'll be a relief. David had to go up and put up a few more signs, don't block driveway, and so on. Private property, back this way. People tend to think that may be a shortcut out to the main road or something. When they come down our driveway, they find that it's not. It's 3 minutes if you need to come out. And that's 4 minutes. Carefully out of the pose, child's pose, or lay on your back. Stretch your back in the other direction, rounding it up rather than arching it in. Hmm. 6. I'm pushing it. Okay, what we were building up to, camel pose. Now, camel, I would highly recommend that your knees be wider than your hips. And if you feel pressure, like your hips are trying to go wider, you feel pressure on the outside of your knees, make them wider, or have your muscles squeezing inward just gently, just a little bit, just to take the pressure off the outside of your knees. You can do it with your fingers interlaced, squeezing your shoulder blade, lifting your chest, pressing your hips forward a little bit, not letting yourself lean back, but trying to stay straight up and down, pressing your hips a little bit forward. You can do it with your hands on your iliac, your hips, with the heel of the hand about at the waist, and elbows back, but not back too far. Remember, we don't want to pull on our shoulders too much. But with your arms down, your elbows can be back a little bit because it doesn't pull like your arms up. You can press again a little bit forward here, or you can have your arms up or on your shoulders and arch, or on your hips and arch, or just let your hands hang, interlace your fingers, let your hands hang down behind you and arch. You don't have to lift them up. You don't even have to squeeze your shoulder blades if you don't want to. Hold the pose carefully. And again, you should have your knees on a blanket. We're going to be here for a while. That's the difference. Just always remember, when you set up for the yin, you're going to be there for a while. What may be comfortable in hatha may not be comfortable in yin. Well, finally, sunshine. And as usual, we didn't get to everything I had written down, but that's okay. Better to overplan than underplan. Then I'll be thinking, oh no, now what do we do? And release slowly. Go to child's pose with your knees apart, toes touching. You won't round your back as much that way, but you'll still get a good back stretch. You can reach your arms forward or have them by your side. And if you want, you can come over and lie on your back for a little bit, hug your knees and rock. We have about a minute before we start ball, core, with the ball. I just happen to think I have some books, and nothing that I recommend or don't recommend, so I'm sure that if you look for ball, Pilates ball, or exercise ball, that you can find some books and even videos. Okay, if you're doing the ball, we're starting, or you can always stay and stretch out a little bit longer since we do the same warm up. Bouncing on the ball. Side to side. Back to center. You can hold on to the ball if you feel more comfortable. Just maybe your fingertips as you shuffle. One leg out and then back, and the other leg out. And then bring them back and stomp. And feet down and circling. Oops. Lost the video. Why did that happen? Circle. While we're still doing this, besides the fact that my thing was over there, we're going to use the wall and do some lifting to strengthen the back. So if you need to, move so that you can have your feet against a wall and the ball in front of you, and you can do this. Are you still hearing me? I don't see even the sound on. Okay. Why is that happening? Hang in there.